Okay, what I've got here is a self-winding clock company movement that was given to me. Patented date November 25th, 1984. Self-winding clock company. This is the pendulum for it. I believe it's the original pendulum. And I think the house that this came out of, it was actually in a barn, had belonged to a guy that had worked for Mohasco, which used to be a big carpet mill down in Amsterdam, New York. So this clock may have come out of there. Maybe they took it out or whatever, but you can see the wood from in the backboard is all you know, warped and everything, and it's in pretty rough shape. But I'm thinking I'm going to see if this can be restored. A lot of work to be done here, but as you can see, I don't know how clear it is, but this can definitely be cleaned up. They're brass plates, and these are the electrical connections, and I believe this was all low voltage DC, and these would wind it. There is I don't know if you can see it here, right in, yeah, the light isn't that good, right in here where my finger's pointing, there's a like a spring barrel, and that's hooked to a bigger wheel here on the other side, right here where my thumb is in, and it appears as though these coils are energized at times, and they wind it. And here's some contacts right here. It's not a really good picture because this camera isn't the greatest. And I've got another camera. I actually ordered a GoPro 9. I'm kind of hoping that maybe I'll get a little better quality, image quality out of that. But yeah, some of these things are seized up a little bit. This apparently was a second hand because there's a long pivot on that, but everything appears to be here. So, including the pendulum, I was wondering, and this is actually the pendulum. The suspension spring is missing, but from where the crutch goes through the slot, I'll be able to know the length of the suspension spring that I'll need. So this could be an interesting project to get into. It's going to be a long project. It's going to take me quite a while to get this done, but it ought to be interesting. So stay tuned, and you know, we'll see what we can do. Okay, here we go. We've got self-winding clock company movement. I'm going to see what I can do with this. Apparently, this the patent date of 1884. This is the C-style movement. From what I just read online, the C-style was only used till around 1889, I think, with the open movement plates where you can see the gear trains. Runs on 3 volts DC, so it used dry cell batteries. And so I'm going to start to take this apart. This was the motor section, which was separate from the main movement. So I'm going to see if I can get these screws loose here, and we'll see what we can do. I'd like to start getting this cleaned up, and I want to get something to put the screws in as I take it apart. And some of the boxes that I will get nozzles in comes in handy for this. Oh, look at this. Do you believe that these screws, after this is set for so long like that these screws come out that easily? And here's the motor, the winding motor right there. So that's what these, if you can see this here, this is the, must be the stator, I think they call it. I'm not sure of my terminology on electric motors or not, but these were the windings, and that is what would turn this to rewind the mainspring there. So that is pretty amazing. But you can see brass plates, a lot of screws holding this in, and there's some wiring to be done, and Possibly these coils will have to be rewound, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that does it. I know there's a place out in California, a gentleman, he has a lot of YouTube videos on. He specializes in some of these self-winding clocks, mostly the Standard Time Company, I think was the name of it or something. But so anyway, let's see what else we got to do here. I'd like to get this apart. I'd like to get this off of this plate, but I don't know if those. Yeah, see, those are into the steel, the cast iron base, which may present a problem coming apart. That may come apart hard. So I could probably soak them in some kind of penetrating oil, which I don't have any here. Believe it or not, there's some spring tension there. I'm winding, not a lot, but, well, I just heard it give, so that there's either broke or what, and this gear here looks like it's bent, but that can be straightened. Probably got tossed around wherever it was stored. You know, so I don't know if I can take the plates apart that way or not. I took some pictures. I'm going to take a couple of pictures here. I like to take a lot of pictures as I take something apart, so I can you know, it's easier to put it back together. And one of the things that I like to use is my tablet, is my iPad, because I got to tell you, it takes super pictures. And you get it zoomed in, you get on different angles, and then you can, when you bring the picture up, you know, you can. Well, let me bring it back up here. You can zoom in, you know, just by, you can enlarge it to get a closer view of what you want to see. So it really works good. So let's see what we're going to do next here. The screws for those are on the underside. For that, I don't know what's going to happen here. Huh. That one turned. That one turned. That one turned. Huh. Amazing. But those are brass. And these are into brass. So, but I don't know what, there's a little fingers in there for triggering the winding. It looks like the spring is all broken. It's, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. So let's pull this. What I'm hoping is I'm going to take the screws out of the board here, and I'm hoping if I turn this over, that this cast iron base, I'm hoping the holes are all the way through it, so that I can put penetrating oil in there to get the oil to go up through, and hopefully that'll loosen up. Let's see what we end up with here. I may need a bigger screwdriver. That I'm definitely going to need something with a little more. I can get a little more force on it, like so. But that's too big to fit in there, so let's find one that's just a bit smaller. Just bought these screwdrivers too, so alright, let's give this one a try here. They're probably, I think they're just spinning in the wood. They're not really loosening, but that's okay. They're just a straight, slotted wood screw. They're nothing that historically significant or anything like that. So this one here is a little stubborn, and it's not getting it all. And how about this one? Is this a slotted? Yes, it is. Yeah, the contacts there, you can see the brass contacts for the electrical connections. Well, that didn't take much, but... And we are open through the bottom here, so that's a plus, but I think they're riveted in there. So these are in this. That's going to be kind of tricky to get out of there. We'll get it, but it's going to be a chore. And I'd rather pull this apart this way, because this plate looks like it'll come off and leave the gear train there. So we gotta figure out how we're gonna get this off of there. All right. Well, there's one screw, and that comes out of there. So I don't know if these were replaced at one time. Some of these are like a flathead, and some of these have a kind of a half round shape to them. So they're different screws, but fortunately in the pictures that I have, we'll take that into account. Well, these look like they're screwdriver slots, but believe it or not, that unwound. Huh. We don't do any more damage taking it apart than we've already done to it. Well, that isn't coming. Perhaps we can put a little heat on that, just enough to get that to loosen up. This looks like somebody tried to get this apart and broke it off at one point. That's what that looks like. But I can make these. I mean, I can make one of these on the lathe, so that's not a problem. As a matter of fact, I could even make them out of brass, which, of course, that wouldn't be original. But so let's see. We got to get this one out of there. So hard to believe some of these parts actually still turn. The escape, the deadbeat anchor here is loose, but the what do you call it, wheel here is the escape wheel is seized up. and it has a bent arbor, but I can straighten that. I'm not worried about that. If I have to, I'll repivot it. So this is going to take quite a bit of work, quite a bit of effort, you know, to repair here. We decide what we're doing, and so let me see if I can get on that with a small pair of pliers, and I'll see if I can get a hold of that other one. Not the preferred method for taking a clock apart, but let's see what we can do here. Well, we got it started. Let's Alright, that came out. Now we have, and that is loose. So, there we go, we got the base off. And those have a, like a raised up, I don't know if you can see it or not, right here it's raised up so it fits right into these holes and centers it perfectly where it has to go. This, you know, for the base of it. And there's the where the suspension spring hooks to. So, but that'll clean up nice. You know, these are little screws. I can get those screws out of there. I can get probably well, they're in there. They're riveted, but I can clean this up and actually get it painted up, looking halfway decent. And an old wood screw is certainly yeah, that ain't touching, so I'll have to work at that and get that out of there. There are these washers. I noticed the one here is, so there's like a fibrous washer. I'm going to put them in the parts with the screws because I want to hang on to them. To see there's some kind of maybe a insulator against the case or something. I don't know, but here we have the movement. So now I don't know, since that turned off there, if I can get, ta-da, look at that, yep, came right apart. So let's very carefully pull this apart here, because we've got to get this okay, this is what I was trying to do, and I'm going to actually take some more pictures of this. So I think this'll clean up, you know, and I think I can clean those pivots up. And if I have to repivot, I certainly will. I certainly have the equipment to do it with. So I have the crutch off it, and I guess for lack of a better word, we'll call this the back plate, and that crutch is adjustable there. So I do want to get these screws out of here and here when I clean this up, because I'll put this in the ultrasonic to clean it to see what we got. But in the meantime, I want to take a picture of this gear train just the way it sets here. I want to brace that with something. I document with pictures all the way through, usually something like this. I mean, I've never worked on one of these, but they're not a real complicated movement. So let's very carefully remove that wheel and take a picture. I like to hold the wheel up, and then I can compare it to the picture before it. and I know exactly where that wheel goes. And this is a pretty simple movement. There's not a whole lot of, you know, there's not a lot of gears in this. But those pinions, I think these are going to clean up pretty nice. It's going to clean up pretty nice. So this one was like so. These are going to be a little trickier. Now there's some electrical contacts in here. Right in here, that there's little fingers that there's a thing that triggers them, and I believe that's what initiates the wind on the for the spring. But I see a pin here, so if I pull that pin, I can probably get that gear off of there. Look at that. There is something there to that spring. So then we can see what's under it. I got a special pair of pliers. I believe. Pair that I made just for taking the springs off. I took an old flat pair of pliers and I just put a little notch in there for the pin, to straddle the pin so that we can push on it. And we got the pin out. Okay, put that in our little bucket parts here. So let's see what happens. Now it's probably caught, the spring is probably caught on the arbor. There's a little pin that catches probably in an eye. Oh, wait a minute, that looks like there's a rivet there. I don't know if that means that's a T-end. I can't really see in there. So I was kind of hoping that would just pull off of there, but Alright, it's not going to. So I may have to soak this in oil to get that out of there, because I don't know if that pivot's going to come out of there or not. Well, I'm starting to be able to get that to turn a little bit, but I don't want to put too much pressure on that. A little bit of lubricant. Don't have to have much. Something that will just soak down through there. Then I'll locate something here we can put in there. Find a little piece of sandpaper to clean that up with. I want to clean up the pivot that's sticking through so that it'll come out a little easier maybe once it. We got it out. And like I say, I think we can salvage that because the pivot itself is where it mounts into the thing is stepped down for the second hand, for the where the second hand goes. So that I think we can clean that up, and if I have to, we can rebush the hole. So that's not a problem. Okay, now we got to get the rest of this apart here somehow, and let's do that same thing with a little bit of oil, and because it looks like it's about ready to come out. So yes. This is a synthetic synthetic lubricant. Well, I can pop that cap off, maybe, so I can see which I just don't want to be pulling on those gears too hard. So let's see if we can get some oil to soak down in here. And okay. One of the steel pins. These are a lot similar to that Seth Thomas number 2 regulator, the 77A movement that I took apart. These are just about almost identical to them, but not quite. But it looks as though we got some kind of... I thought it was a screw, but it's not. Exactly what it is, I'm not sure how that comes off. Okay, everything, well, most everything anyway, is in the ultrasonic being cleaned. I got a few parts that, like this is steel, this here. The anchor is all steel because it's all rusted up pretty good, so I got to clean that up. I got the base here. I do have to get this suspension spring block off. There's 4 screws. And I believe there's steel screws into steel, so I'm going to let some oil soak on the back side of those holes, you know, to hopefully, so that aid in them coming out, I can always tap them a little bit to get them out. And because I do want to clean that up. And then I have this motor assembly that actually spins. So that's a good sign, actually. That is a good sign that that is actually spinning. So I'll want to take this apart, clean up the plates, clean up this, I guess, rotor, and check out these coils. And but I need a little more information on this before I do it. The back side of it, you can see where it was, you know, up against the board was pretty clean. Where it was shown out, it was kind of rough looking. But we'll take care of that. And so now we're just waiting for the ultrasonic to get done, and we'll see what it looks like when it comes out.